little IPA he had. Yes.
Nice. Well, we are live right now. We are wishing Big Ben Weisfeld a happy 21st birthday. That's what we were talking about before we kicked in here live.
Yeah, he turned 21 on election day, and he was kind of concerned that this wasn't his day. And I said, of course it's your day and stuff, It's your day, pal. You're 21, so enjoy it. And he did.
I can't believe it. And I'm thinking Aiden's going to be 20 next week. And I'm like, oh,
crazy. Where does time go? Rich, right?
Yeah. It's like it feels like only yesterday we were just like coaching him on the Little League field.
Well, that's the thing. I look at my Facebook memories and stuff, and I see him. I saw him on the mound one time. You had him pitch, and you were standing right behind him. But I remember it was the Orioles. He was on, and he was throwing some pretty hard fastballs there. It's
yeah, that was a lot of fun. We always talk about how fun that was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the good old days. The good old days. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, the good old days. So I see you cleaned up. I see you cleaned up the living room. What was that? Did you clean up for Ben's birthday? Is that what happened? What's going on at the living room?
I got that piano there. The piano's from the Titanic, actually. I don't know if anybody heard the story, but there was a drone flying over the Titanic and actually picked up that piano, and they auctioned it off in the in Sotheby's auction, and I bought it, for a mere fraction of what Juan Soto is going to get. So you like the piano? Yeah. The fireplace isn't going yet. It's 80 degrees. It's been nice out. I'm sitting on my porch last night, Rich. It's 70 degrees, right? And I look at my watch. I worked late. There was some issues at work with the computer system. So I look at my watch, like 9:00, and I'm sitting outside still. It's so nice out, And the next thing I know, it's like, hey, I better go inside. Time for bed. I got work tomorrow. But just the fact that you can sit outside on November 6th without a jacket on, it was beautiful last night. Beautiful.
Yeah, it was absolutely. It's November, 80 degrees. I closed the pool last week. I should have kept the pool open. You know what I'm saying?
You should have kept it open. I mean, we're gonna have we'll have maybe one more day of this, maybe Monday, and then it goes crap from there. So I mean, we have to expect it. We turn the clocks back, and crap from there. So
is it gonna get cold, or is it gonna get cold?
Yeah, it's gonna be nice though, Rich. It'll be like 60s and 50s, But once Thanksgiving approaches, then you get to the 40s, and then December, your 30s. The white stuff will start falling. Although we haven't had any rain, so who knows if we'll have any snow this year, right?
I hope so. You know what it is? I hope so, because if we're gonna live here, like with the 4 seasons and everything, I want to be able to enjoy the 4 seasons. I want to be able to enjoy the summer, spring. Even though we really don't get spring and really fall anymore, it goes right from hot to cold. But it seems this year we're actually getting the seasons. We had spring, we had summer. Now all of a sudden, fall is going to kick right. I think it seems like the seasons are actually lining up the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, but actually these warm days are very odd. But if you look back in history, I mean, we had some 70-degree days in November, but I think yesterday was the first time ever in our area that we had an 80-degree day on November 6th. So that's the latest 80-degree day we ever had in this area, believe it or not.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you more trivia or more useless knowledge. It was 5 degrees warmer in Miami last night at 7:00 than it was here. So 5 degrees on November 6th warmer in Miami than it was here, basically.
Oh, damn, that's I'll take it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was in South Beach last night. And I'm sitting on my porch last night, and I have this app you could track airplanes, and I'm like, why are these big planes flying over my house? I looked at one of them. It was a British Airways plane destined for Newark, and all of a sudden there was a message that said being rerouted to Stewart. So I looked online. I guess there were some issues with the FAA down in New Jersey, so there were some planes going to Westchester and some planes going to Stewart yesterday. Yep.
What's happening? What's happening yesterday? Was it yesterday? Probably. What was it? Today's Thursday. Yeah, probably yesterday. All the planes, like they were saying, like a lot of people who had flights out yesterday were having a hard time getting their flights out because there was a lot of really, really, really important people, like celebrities and stuff, that were really booking flights.
Oh, that's true.
Because they're trying to get out of here. They're trying. Listen. From what I understand, a lot of big time celebrities and big time, money people got out of the country yesterday. So
but not athletes. Not athletes, right? Not athletes.
No, and the athletes I think stayed, but I'm pretty sure like a lot of high profile like musicians and like stuff like that. For some reason, they felt the need. They just had to get out of the country yesterday.
Well,
I don't know. I think that might have been why it was backed up.
We know Juan Soto stayed. He didn't leave.
Juan Soto is not going anywhere. Listen, if you want to get right into talking about Juan Soto, we could get into right into talking about him if you want.
Well, I think we have to play taps on the Yankees first. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a tough pill to swallow, but
Okay.
like I said on the last podcast, I think it would have been worse if we would have lost to the Mets, because I think you Met fans would have just never let us live it down. Basically, we lost to the Dodgers before. We lost 3 times. Now the 4th time we lost to the Dodgers, and it brings back that old Brooklyn Dodger Yankee rivalry and stuff like that. And you kind of felt it. I mean, there were fans in the Yankee Stadium from LA. There were fans from Yankees in Dodger Stadium. So you kind of felt it had that LA Yankees thing. Now, the Yankees, they won the first 2 games in 81. And look what happened. They lost. The Dodgers came back, won the 4 games. Now here, the Yankees lost the first 2 games in LA. Now they should have actually won one of those games, Rich, because the manager, Aaron Boone, made that one mistake. And like I said on the podcast too, I was like, oh, I can't wait for Nestor Cortez to come back, because Nestor Cortez will take care of Ohtani, which he did. He took care of Ohtani. That was the goal, to put Nestor Cortez in. But the stupid rule, Rich, that you have to pitch to 3 batters. I mean, they should waive that in the playoffs. I hate that rule. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, they take the ghost runner away in the playoffs. Why not take the 3-pitcher rule, 3-batter rule out and stuff? Because Freddie Freeman damages left-handers, especially when the bases are loaded. We know that, right?
Now, let's be honest. He damaged everybody in the World Series. Freddie Freeman had a ridiculous World Series, dude.
I think we can honestly agree that Freddie Freeman destroyed New York, basically.
Oh my God. I think maybe Big Papi, maybe a little more, but dude, you couldn't get him out. He was limp. He hit a triple, dude. The guy was limping to third base.
Yep. And over the years, Chipper Jones too was a Mets killer, right? But never really killed the Yankees. But Freddie Freeman single-handedly took the life out of New York, the Mets and the Yankees, basically.
Now, just before we go any further, I want to talk about Freddie Freeman for a second, because listen, with social media and stuff today, like these videos are all over the place. But did you see the video of Freddie Freeman when he hit that grand slam? Listen, I know it's against your team or whatever, but just have a baseball moment for a second. When he hit that grand slam and he ran right to his dad, dude, and they were just kind of like hugging each other through the net, and he was crying and stuff. And dad was those, remember I said a couple of weeks ago that, when you like basketball and football, it's like, big moment. Like baseball is little moments adding up to wins and losses. And it's just a bunch of moments. And and that was a moment, dude. That's like, and just, it's so hard to hate that guy too, because you see so much good stuff about him. He's a good dad. He's a good guy, so you don't ever see anything bad about him. He talks about, he's from Canada, I guess, but that video, man, like, did you see, what I'm talking about? Where he's just like,
I saw, I was like in the state of shock. I couldn't believe what just happened and stuff. The Yankees took the lead in the top of the 10th and stuff, and then the Dodgers come back and stuff. But the Yankees, they gave it a battle, Rich. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, the Yankees' offensive numbers or equal to what the Dodgers put on the board. The one thing about the Yankees is fundamentals. I mean, fundamentally sound. They were like a little league team, basically. They couldn't run the bases, and that was an all-year issue with this team. And when your announcer says that you run the bases like drunks, I mean, John Sterling said it. I was listening on the radio. I had the radio over the announcers on Fox. That's what Sterling said, and he was right 110%. I mean, we saw in the playoffs, we saw all year round, they don't know how to run the bases. It's crazy.
When Sterling said that, he was probably drunk, and B, you can't run. Listen, now let's talk about Aaron Judge just for 1 second, like we can put him to rest. I have a hard time right now putting Aaron Judge in like the annals of like these great Yankees, because, dude, he dropped the fly ball. I mean, I understand there was a comedy of errors in the infield there. I understand. Look, Volpe's pretty much a rookie. Awkward throw. It is what it is. But I mean, you guys as Yankee fans, now listen, I don't know how you're going to take this, but you guys as Yankee fans, I think, are just waiting and wanting so badly to have that guy that's all of a sudden like the next like Derek Jeter or DiMaggio or Mantle. And now I equated Aaron Judge to Peyton Manning, being that like he's only in the league 6 years. Peyton Manning was probably your quintessential regular season quarterback. The guy his numbers in the regular season are off the charts. One of the best would you agree that he's one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks ever to throw a football?
No doubt. Yeah.
Now you compare comparatively, Aaron Judge right now, yes, he could have his 162 games, but Eric, he came up so small in the playoffs and in the World Series. What do you as a Yankee fan do about that? Like, what do you not the what do you
Well,
do about it? Like, he's the best player in baseball, but
mhm,
what
mhm.
what's going on? Like, what do you think his mindset is? Like, why do some people do it and some people don't?
Well, in all actuality, Rich, I mean, he slumped in the playoffs. I think it was like 9 for 50. But if you look at the last two games, he suddenly came alive and did hit the home run and stuff like that. And he did have a great catch before he dropped the ball. So
Yeah,
the
it's a
drop
drop.
ball is
Yeah,
going to live. It's going to live with him the rest of his life until he dies, basically. Um, I don't know what was he looking at. Did he get lost in the lights?
right.
He said he was looking at the base runner, but the base runner's on first base. The base runner, you never see a guy tag up from first base. So I don't know if it was the base runner or what, but that opened
Yeah,
the floodgates, Rich. I mean, you had that. Then you had Volpe bouncing the ball to Jazz Chisholm. Now, Volpe, he got the stadium going the game before with his grand slam. I mean, that's probably the
yeah,
loudest the stadium got since. And we kind of knew the Yankees would win that game. That was the bullpen game and stuff. And I mean, I got a lot of bad stuff to say about that game. I mean, I think if you're Dave Roberts, I mean, okay, he won the series and stuff, but if he didn't win the World Series, and you know what, he was scared as hell, Rich. If the Yankees would have won that game with the miscues or up 5-0, the Yankees would have lost that game. He was scared that the Yankees were going to LA. Even though they'd be down 3-2, he was pretty scared
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
You know,
You know what? Excuse me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to go back. I'm sorry. I want to rewind to Aaron Judge for a second because
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because as me myself, like being a Mets fan, I got super involved in this playoffs and these World Series, and oh my god, I was like, and I really like as a Met fan, like going along for this ride. Like I didn't think that. Look, at the end of the day, all emotions are gone right now. I didn't think the Mets were going to be where they were. Okay, so now I'm thinking to myself, like, Aaron Judge drops that ball, and I'm like, all these emotions like go through your head when you're a sports fan, like, and you look at these guys, but then you got to stop and you got to take a breath for a second because now I thought of this with the Mets when Francisco Lindor hit that grand slam, dude. That I don't know if is any, I don't know if I've ever been happier as a fan seeing a home run being hit by my favorite player of my favorite team. Now, that to me just went through the roof. And I'm like, holy shit, this is it. Bang. So Francisco Lindor up until that point played crazy, right? He was hitting, he had grand slam, one of the greatest home runs I've ever seen. Next day, now it's all irrelevant because they did win the game, but bases loaded. Francisco Lindor is up. It's a close game and he strikes out. Now, in my head instantaneously went to the fact that what he did the night before and what Iglesias did the night before and like what the rest of the team and Alonso. And it's like kind of like, I looked at it from a perspective of like a fan watching a team develop and like Francisco Lindor can't always hit the grand slam, just like Aaron Judge can't always catch the ball because I had to check myself a little bit as a fan because I find myself sometimes getting really angry and screaming at these guys and yelling at these guys. Now I'm going to get a little like kind of not emotional, but kind of like, personal for a second because I had to kind of check myself and I went up to Fishkill Little League like the next day after, they lost the World Series. And I'm like looking around and I'm like, at some point in those guys' lives, they were at a place like that, like Fishkill Little League, and where their parents were cheering for them, where their grandparents, friends, whatever, were cheering for them, and it was fun. Now, I don't think under any circumstances, I'm taking money out of the equation, by the way, when I'm talking about all this and these self emotions and selfless stuff. And like, I don't think that Aaron Judge saw that ball and says, you know what, I'm just going to drop this ball. So some people have just the ability to just eat the spotlight up. Like, in other words, like, Derek Jeter ate the spotlight up. Nothing was too big for him. And like we always go through the players that like maybe like the lights are too big for them. Like Zach Greinke would never come play here. So now taking nothing away from his ability and his talents and maybe just the bright lights and everything of just like you better make this catch, you 6'7" piece of shit. What he hears in his head from Yankee fans, maybe he just sometimes he just can't handle that extra thing, because I just remember watching Ben pitch and turning Ben into a catcher and watching Aiden almost hit a home run and just watching our kids develop from little leaguers and know that they're not going to be major leaguers. These guys are major leaguers doing what they love. And it's like, just forget for a second that they're human. Again, they're making a lot of money. I understand, but it's human error. Like, we're humans, we make mistakes. So in other words, it's like misjudging a fly ball isn't like, oh my God, you piece of shit. Yeah, at the moment, it's like, oh my God, you costed us runs, but oh my God, you dropped the ball, or you didn't, or you struck out. But at the end of the day, it's like no one's trying to do that. It's just like it's who's there in the moment, or who's going to get that right pitch, or who's going to get that right ball to catch, or you know what I mean? So it's all about being in the moment, and I guess it's all about wanting to
Well,
be there too.
yeah, well, Rich, I mean, you got Bill Buckner too. I mean, that was like
Yeah,
the easiest ground ball to Buckner, and what happened? It went through his legs and stuff. The Mets win the World Series after that. I mean, that was a big turnaround. So, I mean, we've seen it happen before. But as much as and many bad things, Judge just, I think Judge has done more good things in his career. But the
of
problem
course.
was he dropped the ball in an elimination game in the World Series. That's the problem when your team was winning 5-0. But you got to give Garrett Cole. I mean, I know people will get on Garrett Cole's case and stuff after the Judge miss and the error at third base with Volpe and Jazz. I mean, Cole struck out the next two guys. Of course, then you got to blame Cole for not covering first base on the third
Come
out,
on,
which
man.
it was still 5-0 when he had those two outs, 5-0. But I think it goes both ways. I think Rizzo could have made the play too if he would have hustled and stuff. But it's the one play that they practice so many times in spring training. You see it on the videos all the time. It's the first base. It's the 3-1 put out usually. That's the one thing they practice in spring training. But you can go back and second guess all you want. I mean, the Yankees blew that lead. It was 5-5. They came back. They took the lead. Dodgers come back, and you kind of knew the Dodgers were going to win the game and stuff after all that happened. And so even with pitching, their relief pitchers like 1,000 innings and stuff like it's crazy. But yeah,
I
Dave
mean,
Roberts, he did a great job. He did a great job as a manager.
he did, and and they just that lineup, it pounds you to death, and it's like, and if you look at Ohtani's numbers, they were good in the playoffs, but the World Series, he was okay, he was human in the World Series, you know what I mean? It was everybody else that just murdered the baseball, man. I was like, I
And
mean,
Tommy Edman,
that,
I mean, it kind of makes me
oh,
wonder if the Yankees should have gone after Tommy Edman instead of Jazz Chisholm at the trading deadline. But you never know with these guys when they come over to these new teams and stuff like that. But yeah, he had a great series. I mean, you look at these guys, Max Muncy, all these guys show up, Rich. They're loaded, this lineup. I mean, even like Gavin Lux, he's like the odd man out,
yeah.
but he might, it's like I take him on the Yankees, but and then the Hernandez brothers are not really brothers, but Kiki and Teoscar. I mean, amazing players.
Is
I mean,
Teoscar Hernandez, from what I was just looking before, he's a free agent this year. Does he leave that team, or he'd be dumb? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it depends. I mean, a lot of these guys you want to retain and stuff like that, but it all depends where Juan Soto's going to go.
It does. And and like I said, back to Judge for a second. It's like, he's the guy, he feels bad, like, he's gonna come back and he's gonna be the best player, but like I want to take Judge and I want to take Cole, like these two guys, okay? Now, if you were missing one of those guys, who would you rather be missing off of that team?
Well, we
Who do you feel
survived.
helps the team more?
Well, we survived the season without Cole. I mean, Cole was out most of the
Right.
season, but you got to thank Luis Heel for stepping in. I mean, the guy's going to win Rookie of the Year, or he's a legitimate candidate. But even with Cole being out, he stepped up. But you definitely need Judge, because look what happened when Judge hit the wall at Dodger Stadium that year, 2 years ago. The Yankees went downhill. They tanked that year, basically, or last year. Yeah, they were a 500 team after that. They finished 500, 2 games over 500, didn't make the playoffs, and before that, they had a great start. So yeah, definitely Aaron Judge. He's a team leader. He's got that lethal bat and stuff. Had 58 home runs this year. Will win the
Yeah.
MVP. And you know what, Rich? The fans will give him a standing ovation on opening day. I guarantee it.
Of course they will, as they should. My point being is, how do you feel about that? How do you feel? I personally think that the Yankees should have sent Cole packing. I don't know if you agree with me. I think that, listen, Judge is the center of your team. And my whole thinking around this is, like, I know the Yankees are the Yankees, and I know that they're not going to do what I'm going to say. What I say I think they should do is, what I think the Yankees should do is, I mean, obviously Judge is going nowhere. He's a nice guy. He's the pillar of the team. He's like, why don't you just start getting rid of some of these contracts, Eric? Why do you got to give Garrett Cole $200 million when there's like a couple of, like, two pitchers maybe you could get? Because I think listen, Garrett Cole's going to get hurt next year. He's getting older. I don't think. I mean, I don't have we don't have a number one. Garrett Cole on paper is a number one, but I mean, he's pitching 4 and 5 innings. You know what I mean? Like, I understand like what he did. Like, he got out of that inning, but it's like he's still like, and I know I keep going back to it, but when he walked Xander Bogaerts, and it's just like in a big game, I just don't think that I think that the Yankees should have cut ties with him, man. And I think maybe it should have cut ties with him, and maybe they should cut ties with Stanton too. And I'll tell you what I think they should do with Stanton, but I think they should cut ties with Stanton as well because, look, Stanton's he's gonna do what he does. Like, the guy's a ridiculous player in the playoffs. He's gonna hit the baseball, but you got to kind of leave a DH spot open, for maybe Judge when he's like, feeling a little, he's got to have that DH spot. Then you got another, you want to bring in somebody else. I don't know, maybe if you retain Juan Soto, maybe he's going to need a break. I mean, he's young, but he's not going to need a break. But, these guys are going to have to rotate in and get a break or whatever. And then you have Stanton in there. It's kind of like he's healthy, but he's not really doing anything. But you kind of like, let ties go with him, or like I think they should have with Garrett Cole, or do you keep Stanton around?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could trade Stanton if there's a team.
I would take him in a second, honestly.
Yeah, I think he'd be great with the Mets. I mean, the guy's he's Mr. October. I mean, Judge, we can't call Mr. October, but Giancarlo Stanton is the modern day version of Reggie Jackson, basically. I mean, Reggie Jackson loved October.
Yeah, exactly. And when he gets in and he just hits the ball in the playoffs, and and I just think that I think the Yankees made a mistake. Would they give him $200 million? They gave Cole.
Well, it was the remaining contract. They didn't give him a cent more than the remaining contract. And actually, he wanted that 5th year. That was the whole goal behind it. But the Yankees pulled back on the 5th year. Cole didn't realize, so they retained it for 4 years. So it's a Scott Boras client. So let's see what happens with Scott Boras' next client. But getting back to Stanton, Stanton hit 7 home runs, Rich. That's amazing. I mean, there were some good points about the Yankees. I mean, Luis Heel, possibly Rookie of the Year. Luke Weaver, former first-round draft pick of the Cardinals, been tolling around in the majors all these years. He had a very good postseason as the closer. Problem with these guys was they pitched every day, and their arms are falling off these relief pitchers and stuff like that. So, as bad as the Yankees went down, they still made the World Series. I know their path. People are saying, oh, they got easy. Well, they got easy because the two teams, Baltimore and Houston, didn't show up for their series.
Doesn't matter. Listen, we talked about this on the last podcast. It doesn't matter. Their path to where they went wasn't any easier than any other Major League Baseball team that got to where they were. They're a Major League team that's trying to do the same exact thing. So don't think just because the Yankees beat who they beat that their road was easier. Now they finally meet the big bad Dodgers. No, fuck that. They're all playoff baseball teams, and they got there for a reason.
And it took 15 years to get back. And look at all the playoff teams now, Rich. Major League Baseball wants chaos. This year they didn't get chaos. They got the 2 number 1 seeded teams in their leagues. But, it's so hard for these teams to come back. And you know what? I'll sit here right now and I'll say the Dodgers aren't making the World Series next year. The Yankees probably won't make the World Series next year. That's the way baseball is, Rich. It's so hard. The Yankees were the last team, the last dynasty, basically, right? I mean, look at the Astros, all those great years. How many World Series did the Astros win? 1? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the Braves in the 90s. I mean, that superpower team. I mean, it's so hard to win a championship in any sport, I think,
Yeah.
Even except if you're in Kansas City Chiefs, of course. But I mean, they seem to be having a good time with it. But baseball is a funny sport, Rich. It's so hard to get back. There's so many intangibles, injuries, free agents, trades. I mean, look at the Mets. The Mets have 20 free agents they have to take care of, basically. You know what the Mets payroll is right now, Rich? The Mets payroll is like $160 million. Will it be $160 million on opening day? Hell no. But they have 20 guys off their roster already, basically. So,
I know.
Like I said, the funny thing, Rich, is, the season ended and I'm seeing like all these guys getting tender offers. And I'm like, boy, that happened fast. And I realized, wait a second, the Yankees usually got out in the first round. So it was a whole month ago before we saw all these transactions taking place. I mean, there's been trades already, Angels make a trade.
Be talking football. Yeah. Sorry, Kevin Aubrey's trying to get in touch with me. Kevin Aubrey is trying to get in touch with me. I'm going to talk Redskin football. I said later on.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I got a lot to say about them too. I mean, they're a changing team too. All of a sudden, players want to play for Washington. But getting back to the Yankees, I mean, there's some questions, Rich. I mean, for 2025, I mean, what's the before we move on to going to be? Yeah.
Before we move, I have a question for you as a Yankee fan. Now, both the Mets and the Yankees made it pretty far. The Yankees were they were supposed to get to the World Series this year. The Mets made it as far as they possibly could. Now, looking at the Mets, looking at the Yankees. Now, do you think that there is 2 players if you could switch out 2 players from the Yankees and put 2 players from the Mets onto the Yankees, do you think that would have made a difference to beat the Dodgers in the World Series? Who would it be? Or do you think that would have even been possible? Like, let's just say, let's say, like, what's his name had a shitty, like, whatever. You have to replace him with somebody at the Mets at the same position that you think would have helped you, and if with those 2 players, you would have won the World Series.
Okay, yeah, 2 players from the Mets, and you'll give me 2 players. You'll give me 2 players from the Yankees on the flip and stuff.
I'll do the same thing as well. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so I think you're gonna realize that the one player on the Mets that I want Pete Alonso at first base, and
Okay,
I want Sean Manaea on the mound. That's what I want.
Okay, so you think that if Pete Alonso was playing first base for you and Sean Manaea in your rotation, you guys probably would have beat them?
Yeah, this guy, Carlos Rodon, the guy's got no balls, Rich. I mean, the Yankees paid him so much money, and he comes out there all pumped up, and he like blows his load. I mean, you strike out the first batter of the game, he still have 26 outs to go, and that's where he loses all his adrenaline, basically. I mean, the Dodgers took him to town. Actually, I think he had one good playoff game in the Kansas City or Cleveland series, whatever. But if I had, I don't think I would go into the playoffs with him as my number 2, and then I think I would have started Clark Schmidt in Game 2 in LA and I would have put Rodon in Game 3. That's okay. What I did. But Aaron Boone. I mean, he makes the mistakes, Rich, but he's going to be retained because, like we said, if you make a World Series, there's no justification why they don't bring you back, right?
You can't fire somebody when he brought the team to the World Series. Well, unless you're Joe Girardi, right? Didn't he get fired? When did Joe Girardi get fired?
No, he was like later on. I think Boone's only been there like 7 years. So Girardi, he was, but yeah, I mean, you can't fire him, and Cashman's not going anywhere either. That's the price you pay for winning a championship. But Cashman brought in some good players. He brought in these guys from the White Sox, these Kirk Cousins' cousin, and Hill. These guys were on the White Sox, for heaven's sakes, losing 120 games. He brought them in and stuff. So and as much as we get on his case, Rich, he still built this American League championship team. You can say championship team, but American League championship team. But like we said, the Dodgers were in a league by themselves, basically. I mean, I thought their Padres series would have brought the Dodgers back down to earth. I thought the Mets had a chance, with the bullpen games. Like I said, I mean, these teams got to get starting pitching, Rich. I don't know how they can have bullpen games. The Yankees, look at Stroman. Stroman, the 5th starter, didn't even pitch a game in the series. And you know what the funny thing is? You know how Stroman complains all the time, Rich? He didn't make the complaint yet that he didn't pitch in the playoffs. He didn't make, I know it's coming, but I think the Yankees are going to trade him anyhow, basically. I don't see him back on the Yankees next year.
Yeah, I think, what? I think he's going to be gone too. And I think that, well, with that same question, like with the Mets, I literally think that one player from the Yankees would have made a difference for the Mets, and that would have been Stanton. If Stanton would have been our everyday DH, I think the Mets would have kept up with the Dodgers with the runs, and their pitching was their pitching because we lived and died with their pitching all year. So I'm not replacing Manaea. Listen, Phil Maton, like he's bitching about his contract, he can go. Who else is complaining about his contract? It was Phil Maton and somebody else that is a free agent right now for the Mets. And it's like, come on, man. It's like, I want was it Stanek? I want him to stay. Brooks Raley, I'd like to see him stay. But like you said before, it's a matter of pitching, man. And good, but I think the Dodgers got away with it because their pitchers, A, are pretty good, and B, their lineup is just hammered. And they could be down 10 runs, dude. And in the 3rd or 4th inning, it's like they're never counted out because that Dodgers team, and it's almost unfair to hear that. Listen, I'm not saying it's unfair. It's money and it's baseball, but that they're looking into getting Max Fried and Juan Soto. Now, I don't know how serious they are about getting in on the Juan Soto deal, but I just think that would be somewhat outrageous, because if they want to look, they won the World Series, and now you want one of the best pitchers out there, and you want the best free agent out there. So, I mean, the Dodgers are kind of like, maybe they're just trying to say shit, maybe to run up the salaries and whatnot. But
well, not only that, but the Dodgers and Mets offered Willy Adames contracts today. So I guess he wouldn't play shortstop. I guess he'd play third base with the Mets. But yeah, I mean, every time you see
him play third base for the Mets,
what's that?
Who's going to play third base for the Mets?
Well, he might have to play first base if Alonso's gone. I mean, if they offered him $160 million today, Rich, Uncle Stevie opened his wallets.
No.
Oh,
the,
oh,
the
I know
point I'm making,
Vientos,
dude,
Vientos, of
Vientos
course.
is my third baseman, and nobody right now. I'm telling you right now, Rick, as a Mets fan, there is nobody that they could sign right now that I want taking that third base spot for Mark Vientos. I'm not even kidding, dude. I mean, he's young. He showed in the playoffs that he has balls. Like he didn't cower in the playoffs. It's like I don't care who they sign. They cannot replace Vientos at third base. Dude. They cannot.
Adames hit 32 home runs, 112 RBIs. But whatchamacallit?
Do
But
it.
yeah,
You know what? Vientos could do that next year.
But every time you see a free agent rumor, Rich, you always see the Dodgers on it. It's crazy.
What did you say? Like, maybe I didn't see. What did the Mets offer Adames?
160 million over 7 years.
Why doesn't he play second base?
He could play second base, definitely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he wants to play shortstop though. That's his thing, and he's not going to play shortstop for the Mets, and he's not going to play shortstop for the Yankees. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
he's not playing shortstop for the Yankees either. Getting back to the Dodgers though, Rich. I mean, the Ohtani contract that he signed last year. Soto doesn't want a contract like that. Soto wants the money up front. He doesn't want it. So you know what? I think the Dodgers. I don't think they could do the Soto deal.
Right.
I mean,
right. I also think,
look what they did. Look what they did with Yamamoto, the pitcher and stuff. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Uncle Stevie. I thought he was coming to the Mets, right? And then the Dodgers. So what Uncle Stevie has to do? I mean, this is his year basically. I mean, he traded away DeGrom, he traded away Scherzer, and that was the whole purpose, is to get to 2025 basically. But you can't really. If Juan Soto goes to the Mets, if Juan Soto goes to the Yankees, or even if Juan Soto goes to the Nationals, us as Yankee fans, Mets fans, you can't blame Juan Soto. Who do you blame? No. You blame the owners. That's who you blame. Because the owners couldn't sign these guys. You don't blame Boros either. Because if he goes to the Nationals, Rich, the Yankees and Mets offers is going to be the Nationals offer to be much lower than the Mets and Yankees offer.
Could you imagine that if he just says he just wants to go back and play for the Nationals? I mean, they got all those young players now. And
yeah, a couple. James Wood on the Nationals. He used to play Fortnite with him on the Xbox, whatever. So he has some friends on the Nationals. But that's crazy. Can you imagine that if he goes back there?
Yeah, I mean, what's he going back to though?
What happens? How would you feel if he went to the Phillies? How would you feel?
The Phillies. I don't know how it would feel if you go to the Phillies. That would be kind of like, that would be rough, man.
I know they're lineup though. Can you imagine having Harper and Soto, right?
Amazing. Yeah, I know, man. I don't necessarily know. I don't know. The Phillies are definitely a contender, but I do think that I don't think that Steve Cohen is going to be out billed for Soto. I think that he's coming to the Mets. And I was just saying that as a fan of like watching baseball. I think he is going to come to the Mets, but
okay.
Before that,
here's the deal. Say Cohen offers Soto, let's say $625 million, right?
Yeah.
And the Yankees offer $600 million, let's say. Does he stay in the Yankees or does he go to the Mets?
It depends. You know what? I got to be honest with you.
And how high is too high? I mean, look at Ohtani's contract. Ohtani's a unicorn, Rich. Ohtani pitches. Ohtani hits. Juan Soto, is he a great outfielder? And he'll probably be a DH in a couple of years anyhow.
Right. Well, like I said, taking the money out of the equation, which you can't, I guess, because it's not us. It's the owners. You're right. They're going to do it. They're going to give them the money if they have it. You know what I mean? So I guess we really can't complain about that. It's just like who has the most money, I guess. And right now, Steve Cohen does. But at the end of the day, it's like you also have to kind of, if he's getting 620 right now, that's a hard thing for him to do, because when you think about it, the Mets almost made the World Series this year. The Yankees made the World Series. So it's like, what does he look at? Does he turn around? Does he look at the pitching staff? Like, what's the Yankees going to do about their pitching staff? The Mets have a pretty decent pitching. Like, what's he going to do? Is he going to look at the pitching staff of these teams? Because if you want to really look at it, it's like you have to have something to contend with the Dodgers lineup. You got to pitch to them. So, like, is Juan Soto's mindset if somebody gives me 620 and somebody else gives me 621, I'm taking 621. I really don't know kind of like where his mindset would be. Like, how did him and Judge get along? You know what I mean? Does Judge want him gone? Because maybe Judge was a little nervous. I just don't know. But I can tell you right now is I think that he's probably going to go to the team that gives him the most money. And because this year, can you imagine almost getting there with a group of guys that you've only been with for 1 year? Now, does that make you want to leave? or does that make it like easier because it's like you've only been with them for 1 year? Whereas if you're a guy that's been with a team for like 5 years and you made it 2 or 3 times and you just made it, and it's like fuck, it's like we just can't get there. You know what I mean? Whereas Juan Soto's been with these guys for 1 year. Does he want to stick around and be like, or does he say, you know what, though? I'll just go to another group of guys. I can make friends. The Mets have a lot of Spanish guys on the team, man. Him and Lindor are boys. So I don't know if that's going to go into the equation either, but I know him and Lindor are very tight.
Yeah, well, if the Yankees won the World Series, Rich, slam dunk, he's gone. That was my opinion, slam dunk.
Yeah.
And even on the Yankees side too, Yankees, hey, our goal was accomplished, and now we're not going to pay the money. You're going to move out. We'll get Pete Alonso at first base, whatever, and yada yada. But but the Mets have all that money off the books. The Mets have like $90 million off the books with Scherzer, Verlander, McCann. I can't believe James McCann's still on the books, but he's not going to take that. He's not going to take a Bobby Bonilla type of contract, Soto, with the Mets. He's not going to do that.
No, he's going to. And I heard today he wants 15 years. Is that true?
Yeah, 15 years. So, I mean, what are you going to talk, like $50 million a year? It's astronomical. It doesn't, it's crazy.
When you think about it, like, those are just numbers that like they don't even make sense to us, dudes.
It doesn't make sense to us. But, and you know what? I'm driving home and I hear that the Rays are in it too. The Rays don't even have a ballpark to play in. I mean, and they're the mystery team. I love Scott Boras. He always has the mystery team involved. Can you imagine? I think the Rays give him you know what the Rays are going to do? The Rays are going to give him $700 million over 700 years. That's what the Rays are going to offer him.
Yeah, exactly.
It will take generations and generations of Sotos. Yeah. The money will be there in that family. But I don't have the Rays are in it. But don't go to the Red Sox. That's all I'm saying. Don't go to the Red Sox.
Imagine that. Yeah, I don't think you would go to the Red Sox, even though the Red Sox did come out and say they're going to be very active in free agency. I don't know what that means, but obviously I know what it means. But who are they going to be looking for? Who are they going to go after? Because like they have a kind of a young, kind of like slappy little team there. They could use a couple of big free agents.
And what about the Padres too? If he goes back to Boros came out and said that he was planning on signing with the Padres, but the Padres owner died before they can go to negotiations, and that's why the trade was made. But how about going to San Diego and San Francisco too? I don't see him going to San Francisco. I just don't see that. But he played most of his career on the East Coast, besides the year and a half on the West Coast. Maybe he's an East Coast guy, Rich. Maybe he likes the East Coast. I think at the end of the day, it's between the Yankees and Mets. It's a dogfight, and then the Nationals secretly getting in there and stuff like that. That's my opinion.
I honestly think the Yankees should have let Garrett Cole go and made a run at Corbin Burns. That's kind of what I thought. They should have saved that money and went at Corbin Burns.
Rich, they still can. I mean, if Soto signs with the Mets, they can go after Burns. They can go after Alonso. They can go after Santander from the Orioles. I mean, they could really do damage to the Orioles, basically, if they take these Oriole guys away.
Right now, I've noticed that you've mentioned Pete Alonso going to the Yankees probably about 5 or 6 times. So at this point, now I'm taking you bait. You baiting me into an argument here. Now, can I tell you how I feel about that?
Yeah.
You want Pete Alonso, right? You want Pete Alonso, right?
You know what? The guy can hit in Yankee Stadium. He's a New York guy.
Are you guys willing to overpay for him?
That's the problem. How much he's not going to get a Juan Soto type contract?
No way. He's not getting a Judge contract. I don't think he's getting $200 million, maybe. Now, I think
if not the Yankees, then he goes to the Astros, probably.
See, you know where I think he's going to go? I think he's going to go to Chicago. I think Chicago's going to offer him a lot of money, and he's just going to hit home runs in Wrigley Field.
Cubs, yeah.
I'm sorry, the Cubs, yeah. I think that my feelings on Pete Alonso is if he leaves, then it'll be shocking to me, to be completely honest with you. Like, I still think that he's going to sit down with Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen's going to say, all right, Pete, this is this, that, and the other thing. The fans love you. You're going to be batting fourth in our lineup. Even if Soto's coming, it's like, you don't have to take any of the, you got Lindor. You like the, it's like, you're not going to take any of the pressure. He's like, and I'm going to offer you this. Now, Pete Alonso's response should be yes, because what better position would he be in, so let's just say, they do sign Juan Soto. Juan Soto's our 3-hitter now. Actually, or whatever. Like that lineup with Soto just becomes, there's so much stuff to do. I can't even get into that right now because there's so much stuff to do. But Pete Alonso is going to be in a lineup with Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Francisco Alvarez, who's a year older. Mark Vientos is just hitting the ball all over the place. So he's going to throw those 3 or 4 names out at him. And he's going to you're going to hit in the middle of this lineup. So we're going to give you this amount of money. Pete Alonso's answer should be yes, because I know he's
Yep.
gonna give him a good offer. So,
Mhm.
but do I think that Pete Alonso is going to go to the Yankees or the Cubs or whoever if somebody offers him 210 and the Mets offer him 200? No, I think he's going to stay with the Mets. I think that
Right.
this is all being blown out of proportion. I think Pete Alonso's a pretty loyal guy, and he's going to get what he's worth, and he's going to take the
Mhm.
contract from Steve Cohen.
Sure.
That's my feelings on him.
Yeah, I don't know. The jury's still out on what's going to go on. I mean, how much money is Uncle Stevie going to spend this year? What's the Mets payroll? It was over 300 at least.
Yeah.
They might have a $400-500 million payroll, Rich, an astronomical payroll. And you know what? He doesn't give a shit about paying the tax because he's got money coming all out of his ass, the billions of dollars that he has, right?
Yeah, but you know what though? While teams like the Yankees and and the Mets and signing all these big time free agents and bringing their payrolls up, why don't teams like these, like Tampa Bay and stuff like that? Why don't they start using all this? Was that the luxury tax goes into like a big like what happens to that luxury tax money? Like let's say the Mets go over a certain amount, they got to pay that luxury tax. What happens to all that money?
I think it gets divvied around the baseball for the owners, I think.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so if it gets divvied around the owners, so if you're a team like Tampa Bay or Oakland, Oakland's been robbing. Oakland's been robbing the Major League Baseball blind for the last like 20 years. Then the owner,
Yep.
or the fans, really, like not really the phone. The fans are being robbed. You know what I mean? Of
Sure.
good baseball because they're not spending their money. So therein
Well, don't
lies
forget
the fact that
they were making the playoffs too. The A's a lot, over the
right.
years, basically. Never getting past the first or second round, but they were making the playoffs. And if the fans are happy with the team making the playoffs, so be it. The owners say, "Hey, we make the playoffs." I'm trying to put but you can't compare Oakland because they're not Oakland anymore. They're just called the Athletics. Playing in Sacramento now and stuff. But they're still a Major League Baseball team. They're going to still make some trades, whatever, to improve themselves. You still got to put a good product on the field, Rich, because if you don't invest in the team, who's going to show up? I mean, look at the White Sox this year. The White Sox lost 121 games. I mean, the worst team in baseball history. I mean, they got to make some household changes too, as well, to get a product on the field. Because if you can't put a good product on the field, you don't deserve having a team. You deserve to move. And you know what? The A's deserve that, but they're moving with the same owner now. So they're going to Vegas with the same exact owner. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But getting back to why Pete Alonso, Rich, no Yankee hit a home run. No Yankee first baseman hit a home run on July 31st. And DJ LeMahieu was that guy who hit the home run.
Oh, get out of here, really?
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking first base is an offensive position. You need your power.
Yeah, of course.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So you went August, September, and October, of course, with the playoffs. I mean, Rizzo came back, but Rizzo didn't do much. He didn't home run or anything. But yeah, the last Yankee home run by a first baseman was July 31st, and that was by DJ LeMahieu, who's also coming back next year. The Yankees still under contract.
Wow, you need Donnie baseball back.
And look at Verdugo too. You had Alex Verdugo. He had only 4 home runs after the All-Star break, won in the World Series. It was the 9th inning home run, whatever. It didn't matter. Yeah. And then Austin Wells, catcher, he hit 111 in September. So I mean, there were a lot of question marks with the Yankees and stuff, but to get where they were, I mean, I'm proud of him, Rich. Being a fan, and I want to ask you a question, Rich. In 2015, the Mets made the World Series.
Yeah.
How did you feel when they lost to Kansas City? Were you proud that they made it, or were you just? I mean, because they went a long time. They went 15 years too without making World Series, basically.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I'm proud that my team made it. Yeah, I guess I am. Yeah. You got to be. I guess you got to be proud of them. You got to be proud that they made the World Series. Like because as far as that team, yeah, I didn't think they were going to lose to. I thought they were going to win that World Series. To be honest with you, I mean, I thought that Daniel Murphy was on fire. It's like I just literally thought that they were gonna win that World Series. So maybe I was a little more disappointed.
Okay, I'll take it a step up. And you know where I'm going probably with this. Mm-hmm. How about if the Jets make the Super Bowl and the Jets lose the Super Bowl? Are you proud that the Jets made the Super Bowl?
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a good question. Right now. Yeah, you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy that they made the Super Bowl. If they make the Super Bowl this year, yeah, I'll be super proud if they make the Super Bowl this year because just from what they've come from. But what was it like? I will get them again next year. It's really, you know what it is, Eric? It's really, really hard I'm a Mets fan and a Jets fan, and to see your team get to a certain point and then have it just like, oh, damn it, because it just happens all the time. When you have, like again, I'm just saying you're a Yankee fan, like you're used to having winning teams. So when your team loses, like in the World Series, like you take it a little bit differently than like a Met fan takes it, because like this Met team, I didn't think they were going to be there. So it's like the emotion gets to a point, and then you're really mad, and then you come back down to earth. I'm like, oh my God, they haven't been there in so long. They just got there. So whereas a Yankee fan is so viscerally mad at their team because they're supposed to be there, whereas my teams aren't supposed to be there. So am I proud? Yeah, I guess I am proud of my teams when they get there. Like this year, the Jets are in shambles right now. They listen, they had a big win last week, so maybe they're on their way back. But yeah, I think I'm proud of my team, Eric, when they get to a certain point. I'm proud of the Mets this year because they lost to a Dodger team that won the World Series. So I mean that makes me a little happy anyway.
Right, exactly. So wouldn't it be ironic, Rich? I mean, Alex Verdugo is going to be gone. The Yankees need some outfield help, whatever. I know Jason Dominguez, but wouldn't it be funny if the Yankees sign Harrison Bader and what's his name? The crazy guy. What's the crazy guy? The other guy. Winker. Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't that be funny if the Yankees signed Winker and Bader?
The Mets would be crazy not to offer that guy a contract, dude.
Honestly, Winker, right? Winker. Yeah, yep.
Okay, he did nothing but just listen. He'd come in and he just hit a home run. He added attitude to that team, man. Like, and not in a douchey way either. Like, there was something like him and Lindor played high school baseball together, I think, and they're two like polar opposites. Like that's why I don't know if you saw during the playoffs. Like, I think they will kind of have like an awkward conversation because they're like polar opposites, and everybody's like, what could these two possibly be talking about? But they played baseball in high school together, so it's like I guess they have a common bond. But no, Winker, I love Winker. I don't want him to go anywhere.
Harrison Bader, I'll take him back though, Rich. I mean, Harrison Bader showed he could hit in the playoffs with the Yankees, hit a couple of big home runs. He was actually Mr. October that one year too, but they only got the one round, whatever. But
now that's my one of my last questions for you that I want to ask you about the Yankees. Like next year, gun to your head right now. What is the Yankees? Who is playing where? You don't have to give me the lineup. Just give me your 9 plus a pitcher on opening day next year.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb, Rich. I'm going to say the Yankees' first baseman next year will be Carlos Santana. Now, Carlos Santana has been all over the place.
Oh, he'd be perfect for the Yankees.
I lost the. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that.
He just won a Gold Glove, Rich. He won a Gold Glove, and he would have covered first base with that ground ball. Not that I'm saying anything bad about Anthony Rizzo. I love Anthony Rizzo. I think he's a great guy, but I love Carlos Santana. I'll put him at first. At second base, you're going to move Jazz Chisholm back to second. Although, I didn't like that the Yankees didn't tender offer to Gleyber Torres. I kind of like Gleyber Torres, but I think the Yankees were fed up with him and stuff. He's only 28 years old, but I think the Yankees were fed up with his lackadaisical play. I mean, he has the heroic plays, but for every heroic play, he'll have like 5 lackadaisical. So I think he got Jazz at second, which is his natural position, right? Yeah. And then it's short. You got Volpe, of course. Now third base is a little tricky, Rich. I don't know with Jazz moving. Do you put DJ LeMahieu at third base? Do you bring in Gio Urshela? Do you make a trade? I mean, do you have balls to go after Alex Bregman? I said the Yankees got to go after the nice Jewish boy from Houston, Alex Bregman. Put him third base. He's only 31 years old. I would do that. Right?
Oh, absolutely. I would, if I'm the Yankees, 100%. I would sign Bregman. Bregman's not going to be an Astro next year. I know that. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, exactly. And the Yankees also have Dubon. I think it's Caleb Dubon in the minors. He's ready to come up. I don't know. The Yankees have this minor league system all the time, but can these guys play? We always heard about Peraza. Where's this guy been? He hasn't been around. And then you got Dominguez too. How come Dominguez didn't play in the playoffs? He did one pinch hitting, pinch running, whatever. But Dominguez should have had some time to play in the playoffs too. The Yankees are building up this guy as the Martian. So we'll see what happens next year. Is outfield you're gonna have? I'm gonna say Juan Soto. If the Yankees, Juan Soto, then they go this Santana route and whatever. You got at first base, then you got Judge in center, and then left field. You're going to have Dominguez probably. That's what you're going to have.
Okay. And Cole's going to be your opening day starter, obviously.
Now if they don't go Santana at first, what they do, Rich, is they have Oswaldo Cabrera play first base, and then you see you see somebody from the minors come up during the year, basically. Spencer Jones down in Somerset will be up next year in AAA. So maybe he is the answer at first base. The guy's the same size as Aaron Judge, and not in body mass, but he's a big guy, so you can have a big guy playing first base as well. But I also like Kiki Hernandez. I mean, and Teoscar Hernandez. If they can get these guys in, if they lose Juan Soto, it's not going to be that bad, Rich. They'll still have the money to spend. They could bring in a Santander. They could bring in Teoscar Hernandez. These guys can play, basically, But the problem is, Rich, and the problem is with the Mets too. How long is Soto going to take to make a decision? That's what I want to know.
I know. And that's going to be that's going to be weird for everybody too, because everybody wants Soto. So nobody's going to make an offer to anybody for a long time. So it's going to be kind of like, I guess kind of like when Judge was trying to make a decision. But the difference with the decision between Judge is you pretty much knew Judge was going to, sign back with the Yankees. Like, you had rumors and stuff like that. But Soto's different. Like there's a really good chance Soto's leaving the Yankees. So it's like kind of like a different scenario. So,
but look what happened. Look what happened last year with the Burroughs clients. He had Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery, and they didn't get signed till spring training. They got signed. I don't think Soto's going to wait till spring training, but I'm hoping he gets done before Thanksgiving, or maybe at the players' meetings, the baseball meetings in early December. But if this isn't done by Christmas, Rich, I mean, you're going to see all these players get sucked up, and one of these teams, either the Yankees or Mets, is going to get caught with their pants down because they're not going to have a replacement for this anticipated free agent. Yeah.
See, I was like for you, like I was saying, I think, as far as I'll give you the Mets rundown in a second, where I think they're going to be next year. But I think
give me the Mets. Yeah.
Carlos Santana makes perfect sense for the Yankees, dude. I mean, he really
no doubt
does.
about it.
I think if you could get him away from there, but he makes perfect sense for the Yankees. I mean,
probably
I was thinking like
he's almost 40 years old, Rich, but the guy, he won a Gold Glove this year, so
I know. And I think Gio Urshela, I think, makes a lot of sense for the Yankees. If you can't get Bregman for some reason, you bring Urshela back, man, because he's got a great glove at third base, and he can hit a little bit too, So
that's kind of like makes sense for the Yankees on the pitching side. Sean Manaea makes sense for the Yankees.
Think so? I don't know, man.
I think, and Jack Flaherty from the Dodgers, get him with the Yankees. Flaherty had some good seasons in Detroit. Yeah,
he could.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy that Detroit traded Flaherty away and they made the playoffs and they won the first round with Skubal, but they didn't have Flaherty? Can you imagine if Detroit had Flaherty going into the playoffs? Can you imagine that?
They'd have a better. Yeah, maybe they would have beat the Guardians.
And you know what? There's one wild card out there, Rich. A guy that doesn't get mentioned, Trevor Bauer.
Yes, he needs to come back, dude. I don't know how you feel about him.
He's getting blackballed. Bring it back to the major leagues.
Yeah, he is. I think he is getting blackballed, and I think I don't know, for some reason I think he's going to be in a Mets uniform next year, because it's funny you bring him up. I think he's going to be in a Mets uniform next year.
I think one of these teams is going to sign him because he'll be cheap, because but the guy he's been out. I think he didn't do anything wrong, but he served all this punishment basically by not getting signed by a team just because of his reputation, basically.
Because of his reputation. That's exactly.
Well, he had the dating rules. If you dated him, you couldn't take a picture with him and put it on social media. There was a whole bunch of rules he had for dating. But I think the guy was on the spectrum. I think they said he had Asperger's or something like that. So but give the guy a break. I mean, the guy, he was a great pitcher. I don't know how old he is now. He's got to be in his maybe late 20s, early 30s, but I think he's coming back to the major leagues. I think he's coming back to the majors next year in 2025.
Yeah, he's definitely not old. See, me personally, I think where we're gonna have a problem, I think, is I think Pete's gonna be back to play first base. I just think that's what do you call it? I think that's a given. That's just, and if not, I'd like to see maybe the Mets go get Santana, or they could bring somebody up. But first base, I think Pete's gonna take it. I'm gonna skip second base for a reason, because this is where my conundrum is gonna be. Obviously, Lindor is going to be my shortstop. Vientos, he's another guy. He's going to be there for life. Alvarez is going to be behind the plate. He's going to be there for life. Opening day starter, Corbin Burns or Sean Manaea. One or the other. If not, Manaea definitely deserves, if he re-signs with the Mets this year, he deserves to be the opening day starter next year. And I think that the Mets are maybe going to try and take a play at a run at Corbin Burns. Maybe. And I also think that Senga, with a full year behind him of getting back into the groove of things, maybe going back to Japan or whatever it is he does. But I think he's going to come back and he's going to be in tip-top form. So I think that the Mets are going to make a splash at pitcher, and I think Manaea is going to come back, and I definitely think Senga. And listen, Peterson too. Peterson's your up there. He's going to be your 3 or 4. He pitched really well this year. So as far as your pitchers there, they got their pitching pretty much locked down. And Eric, I hate this. I think Juan Soto is going to be playing right field for the Mets next year. And I'm not saying it to break your balls. I think that it's just going to come down to brass tactics of how much money is Juan Soto going to get. I think he's going to be playing. I definitely think he's going to be there. I'm going to skip center field for a second because that's my conundrum with second. And I think left field, I'd like to see Winker stay on the field and just play left field. I really would. I don't know if that's going to be, because I don't like McNeil. I want McNeil gone. That's why my second base thing. Now, what I think is they should sign that guy. Would you guys Aroldis, right? What's his name? This the shortstop.
Which one?
The one they offered the contract to $160 million. What's his name?
Adames, Willie Adames.
I was hoping, because he's the guy I said I wanted to plug him in second base, and I think that next year you're going to see Acuna Jr. in center field, not Junior, Acuna. You're going to see him in center field. So I think they're going to sign. I think somehow they're going to try and wrestle Stanton away from the Yankees. I think that they're going to.
It's going to have to be a trade, Rich.
Well, yes, it's good. It's good. They're going to offer something that makes sense, because I just think that the Yankees might be sick of him at this point in time, because I think Martinez has to go. I would have liked JD Martinez 2 years ago, but at this point in time, he's just got to go. So he's our DH right now. So I think he's plugging up a DH hole for somebody.
He's a free agent. He's gone. He's a free agent.
I know. He's out of it. He's not going to be in a Mets uniform next year. So I think the Mets DH should be Winker or Stanton next year. That's my take on the DH. And I think Alonso's going to be there.
Give me Nimmo and a prospect.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry. Nimmo. I forgot about Nimmo. Nimmo's going to be in left. My God. I cannot believe I forgot Nimmo. Holy shit. Nimmo's going to be in left. Nimmo may even be in center, dude. I put Nimmo back in center. Bader's going to be gone. I don't want Bader playing on the team. And Acuna, it's all a matter of where Acuna feels more comfortable. If he feels more comfortable at second base, Nimmo will be play left. If he feels comfortable in center field, dude, he's our center fielder. And Nimmo's going to play left field. And second base, you can put that,
You can get Gleyber Torres to play second base.
He can play second base for the Mets. Sure.
Guys that play in New York, Rich, they're proven, they could. Right. Gleyber's been the Yankees 4 or 5 years and stuff. So he's proven New York guy. So.
All right. So listen. Say, do you have anything else? Any last words to say for your New York Yankees before we touch on football?
Also, there's some Japanese guys out there. A couple of Japanese pitchers. The Yankees might be interested. So I think one of them is going to get posted as a minor league player, so it's not going to cost the Yamamoto money. But yeah, there's some guys out there, Rich. Maybe we'll see some stuff. The chip's starting to fall right now. Max Scherzer coming to the Yankees, maybe. I mean, he might have some stuff left in his tank. Also, Rich, we're talking about Garrett Cole. What do you say? Maybe the Yankees, maybe next year they put Garrett Cole in the bullpen. He becomes their closer.
Man,
I mean, the Braves did it with Smoltz, right? The Braves did it with Smoltz.
Yes. But Smoltz was a better pitcher than Garrett Cole.
Yeah, much better. Exactly.
much better pitcher than Garrett Cole. Come on. Smoltz is amazing, dude. You can't compare.
I know. I mean, I look at Eckersley. Eckersley went to the bullpen and stuff. The guys do it. The starting pitchers do it.
Smoltz was an anomaly. Smoltz was one of those. Smoltz was dominating as a starter and then dominating as a relief guy.
And what do you think about Severino? What do you think about Severino too, Rich? Where is he going?
I think I would love for him to stay on the Mets, to be honest with you. I liked what he did for the Mets this year. He ate up innings. He pitched. He had balls. He pitched innings. I don't know. I think he's going to be a number 5. I think he might be all right being our number 5 pitcher. I really do.
And one more guy for the Yankees, Tanner Scott in the bullpen. I think they tried to get him at the trading deadline. He goes to the Padres, but the Yankees need those relief pitchers that miss bats. This year, there were too many guys hitting off the. They weren't striking out too many guys, so you kind of need those relief pitchers that bring the ball up there pretty fast.
What about
you guys? You guys can get Craig Kimbrell can go to the Mets. If I don't care.
I don't want Craig Kimbrell. I don't want him at all with his stupid bird. What about this Ryan Yarbrough kid?
He's okay. I mean, he pitched with the Rays. I saw him pitching with the Rays. He's a lefty, right? He's a lefty.
Yeah.
I really think he's pretty good.
He's a free agent right now, and I guess maybe being that he's in Tampa, he'd be stupid to leave because how Tampa pitchers they leave, and then I don't know, man. I was looking at his numbers. Maybe take a flyer on him or something. He's a good pitcher, but he might fit in good with the Mets.
Yeah, and another Yankee too, Rich. People forget Jonathan Loaizaga. Loaizaga, he missed most of the year this year. He's only 30 years old, so he was a pretty good relief pitcher too. So the Yankees and Mets both have a lot of shopping to do, Rich, and I hopefully, like I said, the Soto deal doesn't hold them back, where all these guys get sucked up by other teams.
It's like you're looking at these free agents. Like, what about Shane Bieber?
I was going to say Bieber. He was hurt this year, so why not take a shot at Bieber? The Yankees did it with Kluber. Remember Kluber, Corey Kluber?
Oh, he pitched really good for the Yankees.
He threw a no-hitter with the Yankees too. So yeah.
See, you're looking at some of these pitchers like, wow, he used to be so good. Bieber, he used to be so good. It's like, but now it's like, I don't know, man. I just know, this baseball season was fun, man. It really was. And I would have liked to see our teams go further, but they did not. So it is what it is.
How about Jake Diekman? He's out there. You might like him, huh?
We even talk about Max Fried. You think he's going to resign with the Braves?
Really, I think, where I think Fried's going? Yes.
Where?
Dodgers.
I think he might be going to the Dodgers.
Ben and I, we went to Wrigley Field this year, and Fried pitched a 3-hit shutout, 9-inning 3-hit shutout, very rare. I thought he was going to pitch a no-hitter that night. That's how good his stuff was. So, and Fried, he's a member of the tribe too. So,
is he really?
Oh yeah,
wow.
Sure is. Yeah.
How many members of the tribe you got in the major leagues right now? You got Bader.
We could do that. We could do that. We could do that on the next podcast, Rich. How about if I do my homework on that? So
perfect. That'd be great.
Perfect. I'm gonna write that down. We'll do Jews and sports. How's that?
Love it. Let's do it, man. That's a good topic to do in the off season.
The problem is most of them the owners. But Rich, before we put the final close the coffin on the baseball season, it'll be back in 14 weeks.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
The Super Bowl's in 13 weeks, right? The Super Bowl next week is pitchers and catchers, right?
Yeah, I know. And speaking about the Super Bowl, I went from a fan that hated my team 2 weeks ago to somebody who actually saw a little promise last week in my New York Jets when they beat the Houston Texans.
And a promising schedule coming up too, right?
They do. Promising, I think. I'm. I hate to say it. It's a little bit. Wary of Arizona, to be honest with you, because I don't think that
you would have been easy. You would have been at ease if they would have played that one at home, right?
More at ease, yeah, absolutely.
Going out to Arizona, yeah, exactly. I think that's what.
But I think talking about the Jets right now, I think the Jets defense is suspect, man. I mean, look, they have what's his name? That maniac finally signed. The linebacker there, but
from the Eagles, right? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just the Jets defense. I mean, they had 2 weeks ago they had a good game. Actually, they sacked Stroud. They sacked Stroud 8 times, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, they ran for 170 something yards against that Jets defense. So
crazy.
My problem is, what's Kyler Murray going to do against the Jets defense when he just takes off? Sauce Gardner. I don't know. The judge is in on him, man. He is not coming, he's not playing up the par of what he was supposed to play. He was supposed to be, on you like Sauce. That's why they call him Sauce Gardner. I don't know, man. He's not playing like, the Sauce anymore. I think that the Jets defense right now is playing either scared or they're very suspect. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, definitely the win against Houston, that definitely improved their playoff chances, and it kind of like rose them from the dead. I mean, we were looking at a dead team. I've been joking around. I've called him LeBron Rodgers because it looks like Aaron Rodgers is making a lot of the calls on this team from the front office wise.
Not any circumstances ever compare Aaron Rodgers to one of my least favorite human beings on the face of the planet. LeBron James and Aaron Rodgers. Come on, man. That's I love Aaron Rodgers, and I don't like.
So the Jets. What's their record right now, Rich? The Jets. What are they? 3-6. 3-6.
Yeah, 3-6.
So they go to Arizona. They come home, play the Colts, and they get the bye. And then look at the schedule going forward. You got Seattle, right? Then you got to play Miami twice, Jacksonville in there, the Rams, Buffalo at Buffalo. So Miami's a team that's very sneaky. I think they might sneak into the playoffs, Miami.
I mean, you could just see what a completely different team that team is when Tua is healthy. I just hope that kid Tua is like.
Well, that's the key. Tua has to stay healthy, basically. And then, they got the three-headed running game. They got Tyreek Hill. They got some defense, but it looks like Buffalo is the upper echelon in the East right now.
There you go, my boy. Yo, let me just I gotta talk about this for a second. Chase Brown just scored another touchdown, bro.
Oh wow.
I read about this kid a couple of weeks ago. I was reading about him. I drafted him. Like I drafted him like late, like he was still there. I just read something that he was gonna be good or whatever. Dude, this kid's killing it right now. He had 27 points last week. He just scored a touchdown just now. So I mean, I like sometimes I get kudos. I give kudos to myself for picking up some diamonds in the rough. Not that he was a diamond in the rough, but they're just talking about him now. No one thought he was going to do as good as he's doing right now because Zach Moss is out. So now they can see what he can really do, man. He just scored another touchdown, man. God,
I put it out there. I put it out there Sunday. I was playing Aiden actually, and I saw my two tight ends, Kraft and Laporta, were playing in that Green Bay game. And the weather didn't look too favorable. So what did I do? I went to the waiver wire and picked up Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill gave me 16 points and led me to victory. So, it's all about doing your homework, I guess, Rich, right?
Yeah. You know what? Exactly. I picked up that kid from Denver the other day, Cortland.
Cortland Sutton. Yeah.
Dude, I picked him up the other day, man.
Let's see what
all these guys like, wow, it's like, like me and you are in first and second. Like, they're like, how they know who to pick. It's like, we don't make any trades and we just ride with our team. That's like keep telling these guys.
Yeah, don't release your guys either. So let's see what I got here. I got Joe Burrow plus 250, Lamar Jackson plus 225, Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, and Chase Brown anytime touchdown. So I got that one part of my parlay and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I got Lamar Jackson as my quarterback.
Yeah, he's having a great year too. Another MVP type of year, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But you know what? Absolutely. At the end of the day, Rich, I beat you already, so I play you in a couple of weeks, and ready for it. So getting back to the Jets for a second, Rich. So we didn't talk. I don't know if we talked about Devontae Adams. I know we were okay, he's in there, whatever. But it seems like Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson are complimenting each other basically as they 1-2.
I think that those two touchdown passes that Garrett Wilson caught last week, I think they're a little underestimated. Nobody's like talking about them like all week, like they were talking about that idiot what's his name,
Odell Beckham, right?
Catch.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, those two catches that Garrett Wilson made for touchdowns. Not to mention the second one that was a yard after the catch right there, man. Like he caught that ball with one hand and just kept going. Yeah, I think that. Listen, I think that it's finally coming to a point where their offense is getting comfortable. I think, and it showed the other day because. Now you got Devontae Adams. Now Devontae Adams was miserable for a couple of weeks. He was obviously miserable. He was with the Raiders, so you're going to give him a week or two to get to know the playbook. And Rodgers and him, having a catch in his backyard or whatever they were doing. But I think you're going to see the Jets offense I think it's like even last week. I think from last week coming up to now, I think that their defense is going to lose the game if they lose against Arizona because their offense is going to go. I think they're going to be going on all cylinders this weekend because I think, when you have Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, Mike Williams is gone now. I think he went to Pittsburgh, but who cares?
Yeah, he got traded. LeBron Rodgers wanted him off the team. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Because, he's got his boy Lazard there. If Lazard catches the ball, he's fine. If Lazard drops the ball, he's getting benched and he's not getting another ball thrown to him for another 20 times. You're right. Yep. I think he is kind of controlling the team, Rodgers, but I think I think it's good. I think that they're starting to gel right now. I think I'd like to see a lot more out of the defense, though. I don't think the defense, and I think it goes back to coaching. I think the coaching is in shambles right now, and I think that there has to be somebody in there to come in next year. And I know it's going to sound crazy. I know he wants a job, but Rex Ryan should get that job, dude. He wants it. They should give it to him. He's better than any he may not be better than any candidate out there. I think he's the best candidate for the Jets right now.
Because sure, definitely.
Think about who his dad was. Now he coached the Jets 20 years ago, Rex Ryan when he was young. Now he's older. Like his dad became like an old douche, man. And he was a great coach. Rex Ryan has got to have a little bit of Buddy in him, and I think that's what the Jets need, dude. They need a Buddy Ryan. They need a Rex Ryan to yell at them a little bit. To tell them they need no, Aaron, no, you shut the fuck up for a second. It's like that. They need somebody like that right now, and I think Rex Ryan's the guy, and he's outright politicking for the job or from a contract.
You need a coach that's not the best friend of the players. You need a coach to discipline the players and stuff like that. I think Ryan was there. He took the Jets to 2 AFC Championship games back to back, right? And He's been in the been with ESPN a couple of years now. So I guess he's waiting to get, hungry to get back into the. Still probably a young guy too, right? Probably not that old, right?
Could you imagine being somebody like Rex Ryan and like coaching is in your blood and you got to sit there with these guys on ESPN breaking down which is fine, like because they all know what they're talking about, but like Rex Ryan's like seeing like, wow, I would have done that. Oh, shit, I would have done this. So like, wait, I could still do this. Like, because if you're a coach, you're always coaching. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're an NFL coach and you like, you get fired or you lose your job, but like you're always going to be a coach. Like Bill Belichick, I'd have to say, listen, he's dating a 24-year-old Instagram model now, so I guess that's taking up a lot of his time. But you're going to tell me that he does not want to come back and coach? He looks better than he's ever been. His personality is through the roof since he's been hanging out with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. So his personality is through the roof. I heard he's going on that Club Shay Shay podcast soon. So he is got to be chomping at the bit to come back to coach. But still, I would take Rex Ryan over Bill Belichick, to be honest with you, because I think Bill Belichick hates the Jets and he'd come back just to tank them.
Yeah, and like we said, the Jets have a lot of divisional games left, so that's going to be the key, winning the divisional games. Those are always tough ones, and I think they already lost to Buffalo, right? So they lost the tie. They lost. If they lose to Buffalo again, they lose a tiebreaker, potential tiebreaker, and stuff like that. So,
yes. Yeah,
exactly. But there's a bigger story in the NFL this year. There's a kid, Jaden Daniels. I mean, is this kid unbelievable? 7 Rookie of the Year. I'm sorry, Rookie of the Week awards already. He won.
Yeah,
crazy. He threw the Hail Mary. He threw the Hail Mary against the Bears. I mean, a Hail Mary, anything can happen. But it seems like the ball's bouncing in the in Washington's favor this year. Basically, I mean, they're 7-2, and they got a big game this week against the Steelers. And they play Eagles, Cowboys, Titans, Saints, Eagles again, Falcons, and Cowboys. So these, like I said, divisional games. But this team is for real. I think, Rich. I was going to say the Redskins. You know what? They just might be called the Redskins again. Something happened this week in Washington, right? So we just might have the Redskins again. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, this team is on fire.
This kid Jaden Daniels, and he looks so confident out there too. And he even when he makes mistakes, he comes back. Like he's leading these men. Like he's a rookie, and he just looks like he knows what he's doing out there. And Washington has had a lot of bad seasons. Washington's had a lot of seasons where their fans just like, what the hell, man? But tanking, not even tanking, just playing terribly and being able to get this quarterback. This kid's a generational turnaround quarterback. Like he's going to turn that franchise around to make them relevant again. Because no doubt. Barring him getting hurt or anything, he's definitely turning that franchise around.
Yeah, exactly. And you got Terry McLaurin, you got the guy who got shot last year, the running back Robinson, his last name, and then you got the old guy from the Chargers. I mean, they got some pretty good players on Washington this year, and they got Marcus Lattimore on defense at the trade deadline. It seems like players want to come to the Commanders now. It seems like, right?
Well, yeah. Well, like I said, their ownership is out of there, and it's. I think Washington's definitely going to be a team to watch. They're going to win that division because Dallas is a wreck. Dak Prescott's out for the rest of the year, right?
Pretty much. I think he's going on IR. Yeah.
What are they going to do for quarterback? Didn't they just re-sign Ezekiel Elliott? CeeDee Lamb just signed like the largest wide receiver contract in the history of football. Like, what's he going to do now? I think that's a team that is in serious shambles. Like all of a sudden, too, it was like Dallas, and all of a sudden, bang, they suck.
The Giants too. The Giants suck. I mean, they're going to. The thing about the Giants and Panthers are going to play in Germany on Sunday morning, and whoever wins that, the champion of Germany, I guess. But yeah, they're horrible. They can't score. Philadelphia's Philadelphia show, they have good points and bad points, but Washington seems to be the cream of the crop. And I'm wondering if the Bears traded Jaden Daniels instead of Caleb Williams. I wonder how the Bears would have been right now compared to Washington.
Yeah,
the Bears aren't doing that bad. They're not doing that bad.
I often wonder that. Like, when you draft a player, right? Let's just say you draft a player. Let's say Tom Brady, for instance. Let's just go all the way back to Tom Brady. Let's say Tom Brady goes to the Jets, for some reason. Did the Jets win 6 Super Bowls? You know what I mean? Like,
it's all about, yeah.
What I'm saying, though, is like Caleb Williams. Let's just say Caleb Williams. Let's say it's a switch up, okay? Let's say Caleb Williams goes to Washington, and we're watching Jaden Daniels play like Caleb Williams is playing in Chicago. But Caleb Williams is now he's the man. He's in Washington. Like,
Mhm.
Like, is it the player? Like, the player's got the talent. He made the NFL, but is it a matter of where the person goes or who coaches them right? Or like, just a mixture of talent that they have around them? Because you have a person that's got raw talent. Like, why can't this kid Bryce Young play football? Why? He's
Right.
horrendous football player, but
Mhm.
he was a stud college quarterback. So why can Jaden Daniels and why can Caleb, whatever his name is, he's playing okay, but and Bryce Young just looked like he's never seen a football before.
Even
So
the
is it
kid,
the
even the kid
situation that
on
they get into?
the kid on the Patriots too. What May? He's looking pretty good too.
Yeah, like Drake, like I said, like why can these guys come in and just like if Drake May gets drafted by somebody else, is it so I'm kind of saying like, with these players come in with all the talent, is it the coaching staff around them, or like I don't know, because this kid Jaden Daniels looks really good. And is it Jaden Daniels is really good, but is Washington just completely turning everything around? And
It's
they
definitely the scouting too, Rich. I mean, because we've seen some busts. We saw Jamarcus Russell, Mark
yeah.
Sanchez. There were some busts out there that had great college careers that never really made it. Or Johnny Manziel, another one. There were some good
Wait a
guys out
second,
there.
rewind here a little bit. You said Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez took my football team 2 years in a row to the AFC Championship game, and that's the best any Jets quarterback has done in the history of Jets quarterbacks. Mark
And what
Sanchez
happened? And
and
what
Rex
happened?
Ryan.
And what happened after
No,
that?
no, could you imagine? Now, I know you're not a Jets fan. Could you imagine? And I say this all the time. If you gave that Jets football team a little bit of a better quarterback, dude, that's a Super Bowl winning football team, dude. You look at the offensive line, you look at the running backs, you look at the wide receivers, the defense. It's like that team was so prepped to win a Super Bowl, but that Mark Sanchez was their quarterback. Now, did Mark Sanchez look that good to get them to the AFC Championship? Or did that team would have excelled much better with a better quarterback? You know what I mean? Would they have won 2 Super Bowls with a better quarterback?
How about Chad Pennington? If they had Chad Pennington
Well, no,
behind
no.
the center,
You
right?
know, I loved Chad Pennington, but Chad Pennington couldn't throw the ball 30 further than 30 yards. I mean, he was a great, smart guy, but he just couldn't throw the ball downfield. Kind of like Aaron Rodgers, king of throwing the ball downfield, doesn't do for the Jets because Jets are definitely their coaching sucks, dude. Their offensive schemes, it's ridiculous. It's like watching a high school offense. Although
Yeah,
last week they switched it up a lot. So
talking about the that AFC Championship game where they played. I think they played Peyton Manning in Indianapolis, right?
they
So
did, yes,
it's
yes.
funny. So that Thursday, Friday, I get a call at work. It says, "Hi, this is the Daily News. You won a trip to Indianapolis to see the Jets play the Colts this weekend." I said, "Oh, great!" So I'm. I said, "Well, what about the tickets?" "Oh, they'll be delivered by 10:30 tomorrow morning." So I'm waiting at home. Nothing comes. I call the Daily News. I said, "Hey, Eric Weisfeld, the winner. What are you talking about? You didn't win. Somebody got me good, and somebody never fessed up to it." So I'm like planning, like, who's gonna go with me to Indianapolis and stuff. So whoever did that, they never till the day. I couldn't even track the number, Rich, because it came at work. But
Oh
here
my
I
God,
am. I'm going to the playoffs. I'm going to the AFC
that's funny.
Championship game. I'm going to Indianapolis, and then Daily News says you didn't win the prize. It's like, okay, great.
Oh
So
damn,
somebody really got me good. So
you
yeah,
got
great
you
April
got your
Fool's
hopes
joke early in
you
January
got
that
your
year,
hopes
right?
up there a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I would have taken the trip, So,
Yeah,
but
of
yeah,
course,
but
of course.
but I want to talk about my team for a second, Rich. Now, my
Yeah,
team, right? They played the Chiefs on Monday night, and that stupid overtime rule. Two primetime games. They lost to the Falcons and the Chiefs on that stupid overtime rule, where if the first team scores a touchdown, the game's over. And you could tell when Baker Mayfield put the coin toss, he knew the game was over because Pat Mahomes is going to come
yeah,
right
of
down the field and score.
course he is. Yeah, of course he
Yeah,
is.
exactly. But they showed me signs. They hung in there, and there's something about Pat Mahomes this year, Rich. He's not really knocking my socks off as a quarterback, but
Just gonna say
the
that.
Chiefs are winning ugly. They're winning the games.
Yeah, they're winning a lot. Their defense is playing pretty good this year. I mean, and every time your defense plays pretty good, and you have Pat Mahomes on the other side of the ball, I mean, you're going to win football games. But they're 8-0.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they're 8-0. I don't know what they're doing, but they are 8-0. Crazy.
like compare. Let's compare the two best teams of football right now. Let's compare them to, like the Detroit Lions. They look like a 7-1 football team. They look
Oh,
unstoppable.
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
But the Chiefs are like they're 8-0. It's like you're almost like holy shit. Like
Yeah,
they're two completely different. I think comparisons because Detroit is a machine right now, dude. I think they're right now. I think they are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I think that the Detroit Lions are primed to win the Super Bowl this year because
Oh yeah, I think
every
they're on
part
a
of
collision course to
football,
win the Super Bowl. Yep. Hmm.
every part of the football that they're playing, at a top level.
Yep.
Jared Goff, St. Brown, they got two running backs. Their offensive line is like throwing their necks on the line every single night for Jared Goff. Jared Goff is having some really efficient football games, dude. When you think about it, like he's
Hmm.
throwing like 3 or 4 incompletions a game.
Yep.
He's got two running backs and his offensive line. I mean, they are prepped to win a Super Bowl this year. I don't know who they're going to be playing against. Maybe the team we're looking at right now, Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, who's having a great year because see what happens when you put a guy like Derrick Henry on a team like the Baltimore Ravens. Derrick Henry might be he's another one. He's an MVP candidate this year. So that's what we were talking about, I think, like last year, if like Derrick Henry would have ever went to a team like the Ravens, because you got a guy in Lamar Jackson that's a quarterback, but he's also just as good of a running back as he is a quarterback. So now you have
Hmm.
two running backs in the offense that could run for 100 yards each easily. So that
Right.
Ravens offense is really hard to stop, man.
Oh yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, Lamar Jackson hasn't been there yet, but I'm looking at the Chiefs' schedule. They're playing Denver this week, then at Buffalo, at Carolina, against the Raiders at home, against the Chargers at home, at Cleveland, Houston at home, and then at Pittsburgh, and then at Denver. So I mean, there's really not that many challenges on the schedule, although Denver's doing pretty well, and the Buffalo game, of course.
Right, right. I
Yep.
don't know. Well,
But on the flip side, Rich, you look at my Buccaneers, they have the easiest schedule right now. They're 4-5, but they play 49ers this weekend at home. It might be a little tough against the 49ers. But then they play the Giants, the Panthers, the Raiders, at the Chargers, which might be a little tough, at the Cowboys, home against Carolina, home against New Orleans in the season. So the Bucs have the easiest path to the playoffs, basically.
how how closely do you think that Germany follows American football? Like, do you think that they follow it? Like, do you think that they know like who's the teams and the players?
It seems like Europe. I mean, they're big on American football now. I don't know if Don't forget the games, like the primetime games here start like 1 o'clock in the morning there, so there might be some overlap where they're not seeing the games. They might be seeing them on tape delay, but I think the fandom over there, they're getting into it. They love singing the American songs. The John Denver song, "Country
Right,
Road." They sing that like 5 times a game. But
right.
it seems like England's taken over. It seems like they love it. But
What they're making is like, do you think that there's going to be people in that stadium that like they're right now they bought tickets for this game and they're like, oh my god, the Giants and Carolina, like these are two of literally the worst. And not only are they bad football teams, they're boring football teams to watch. Like they don't do anything like that can make you go, wow. Daniel Jones is just like, oh my God, and got Bryce Young. And it's like that the team. I mean, like, is Germany right now going, oh my God, why do we even buy tickets for this football game? Or are they going to come to the stadium and support and like, yell and scream because it's just American football? That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
they're
Like,
gonna
so
do
you think
that.
that this kind
Yeah.
of like, do you think that there's going to be like maybe, let's just say like maybe 10 years from now, if this continues? So do you think like maybe in Germany and England, there's going to be, huge, like, Jet fans and Giant fans and like Raider fans? And like, do you think that's going to take over in Europe like it does here?
I think more than baseball did, although it seems like with the baseball, it was more Americans that went over there for a weekend, basically to London, where you see these fans. I mean, they love American football. It will never,
Well, I
it
know
will
why.
never, it will never go over soccer, though. It will never take over soccer.
Well, think about like, think about with Germany and like England and like places like that. Like, think about like what a lot of their sporting events like revolve around, getting like hammered and like, even their soccer games, they're fighting and they got the hooligans outside fighting and they're down in beers. Like, listen, baseball, is kind of a sport where, that happens, but I think a lot of these big tough German and English guys are like, I don't want to see baseballs. They bring the football players, like they're big tough guys, and like, I think they want to see people beating the shit out of each other rather than like a mind game. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's
Yeah.
why football probably, and plus football's a juggernaut, but I think they'd rather see a bunch of guys beating the shit out of each other than playing mind games with each other.
So, do you think a Super Bowl will ever be played on non-American soil?
I hope not.
Mhm.
I hope not. And I do not. I don't think so. You know why I don't think so? Because I think that the money that's involved in the team and the city getting the Super Bowl, I don't think the United States would ever relinquish that. You know what I mean? As far as like one of their own, I don't think they would ever relinquish, the Super Bowl going to England. Why? Why their, their teams and their stadiums wouldn't make any money. You know what I mean? All the
Yeah.
money would be made by Wembley Stadium or whatever the
Mhm.
stadium is holding the Super Bowl. So I don't think just from a selfish perspective and monetarily, I don't think you would ever see a Super Bowl anywhere else because I don't think
Well,
the TV earnings would add up to the amount of money that's generated by the Super Bowl.
and plus the games would have to start earlier here. You couldn't start a game 11 o'clock at night in Europe. So the games, I mean, they kind of like that 6:30 kickoff. The NFL. I
Right. I
remember it
mean,
used to be
like, I mean,
3 o'clock when I was a kid. But they like that.
right.
But maybe they put the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend, where a lot of people have off on Monday, or maybe they make the Super Bowl on a Saturday night. That would be pretty cool too.
What about maybe if they put like the Super Bowl in Australia where it's tomorrow? Like, do we know the outcome?
Or we just have to cross the international date line. But I'm waiting for a football game in Asia. They haven't had one in Asia yet. So usually they tapped into Europe, they tapped into Mexico, they tapped into Brazil this year. So
They said they
Asia's
wouldn't go
next. We
back.
haven't seen.
I heard they wouldn't go back to Mexico because they had a lot of problems, like with a lot of the fans got kind of like beat up and robbed and stuff like in Mexico. And that's what I read. I read that they're not going back to Mexico. From what I understand,
Well, I heard it was
could be
tough on
wrong.
the players too because of the air in Mexico City. So it was kind of like they're running around. It's kind of like smoking 20 cigarettes. That's how bad the air was. But
Yeah, but that's my whole thing. Against this whole thing with them going to Europe anyway. Look, it's fine. I know you want to play another,
But
but
Rich,
these guys.
it's every sport now. You got
Yeah.
baseball. Baseball season going to start again in Japan. You got basketball playing. They played some exhibition games in Abu Dhabi. And they play in Europe and stuff. Hockey's played in Europe. So it's every sport that does it now, Rich.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. Yeah, I guess. I think football specifically. I think it's such a a grueling sport like to begin with. And then ask these guys to get on a plane and go to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, and then like they have to turn around and come back and play a game. Wherever. Like say they got to go back to LA. Wherever they got to go. So I don't know. I don't know, man. I just think that just it's got to be tough on the players. And again, wow, they make a lot of money, but it's like they're look what Lamar Jackson's doing right now. Like the guy is like
Yep.
getting the shit beat out of him right now. He just ran for 30 yards and was tackled. These guys don't want to get on a plane and go to Europe after this
Mhm.
game. You know what I'm
Usually they have
saying?
the bye week. They have the bye week after. Usually they give them the bye week, so it's not like
Whatever.
But
Nice schmuck.
the Giants left yesterday, I guess. So they left yesterday, and
Yeah.
short turnaround until Sunday.
What happens if the Giants lose that game? Do they leave Brian Daboll at the airport like they left? What's his name? Jack. What's his name? Didn't they leave? What's his name at the airport? Urban Meyer.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I think they leave Daniel Jones at the airport.
Oh my God. But Daniel, you know what Daniel Jones will do? That's what I'm saying. Like, if you ever look at Daniel Jones and turn around and say, you know what, Daniel Jones, you suck. You're fired. Daniel Jones just be like, all right. I'll just go be a lawyer, or whatever. He went to Duke. I mean, I'm sure the kid's smart, right?
He doesn't have to work a day in his life, Rich, with the money he's making.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right. What else? You got anything else to say about the NFL this week there, my partner?
No, I'm just getting ready for the Giants Buccaneers game in a couple of weeks. I'm going to that game. And I hope Daniel Jones doesn't play that game. I hope it's Tommy DeVito, chicken cutlet guy, right?
Why not? Give the kid a chance, right? Look, it can't be any worse than what's out there now.
I love his agent, though. I wonder if that guy will be around.
And one thing I want to mention, though, one thing I do want to mention is how awesome is Saquon Barkley playing right now?
Oh, bro. Did you see that backflip he did? Whatever he did, the backwards, it's like even his teammates were amazed, right?
They were saying, it's a good move when they say that's going to be Saquon's new move in like the new Madden game. But he's becoming like he was a good running back, I guess. But now, like that, he's in Philadelphia and he's on like a real offense. I don't know. He looks like he's going to break records this year, man. Like some of those moves he's making, he's running hard, strong. Like he's hitting people now. You know what I mean? It's like, and he's eluding tackles. Like right now, like I think Saquon Barkley is playing like out of his mind right now. So he's definitely one of these players to watch, man. Because Philadelphia with him right now is a completely different team.
Yeah, possible MVP. Imagine
Possible.
Giants didn't want to keep him, and he goes there, and right,
Yeah, exactly.
crazy,
Exactly. So,
crazy. Yeah, so
all
there's
right.
a head coach out there. Just 1 second, head coach Kenny
Yeah.
Atkinson. He used to coach the Brooklyn Nets. He's gone from the Nets, and he's coaching the Cleveland Cavaliers now. And the Cavaliers are 9-0, the first their best start ever in
You
their
know what, Eric?
55-year history.
You know what? What do you call it? He's playing. No, what's his name for the Nets? He's playing awesome. What's that kid's name?
Which one? Oh,
The kid that put
center, Claxton.
Yeah, the kid. Yeah, no, the kid for the Nets. Oh my God,
Cam Thomas.
Yes, that kid. Yeah, him. He's playing really good. But
yeah, the Nets are surprising people, right? So the Nets are only supposed to win like 13 games. They already won 4 games. They're 4-4. They're number 3 in the East right now. I mean, I guess you and I can actually agree that the NBA doesn't start till Christmas usually.
Yeah, it doesn't. And
right?
The only reason why I didn't want to talk about basketball because how the hell is Joel Embiid getting away with doing what the hell he's doing, man? How is
what's going on with him? What is going on with him?
What is going like how he's he's getting shit from the fans now too. The fans are starting to yell at him. What is going on? Why is that okay?
Definitely wore out his welcome in Philadelphia, Rich.
Yeah, but who's going to want to sign him? Like, is somebody going to sign him? Like, look at these two players, Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns. Okay.
Yep.
Who I think are two very similar players. Okay. Karl Anthony Towns right now went to the Knicks. That guy's he might win a championship with the Knicks, dude. Joel Embiid doesn't want to play basketball anymore. But Joel Embiid doesn't want to play basketball anymore.
Exactly.
He just wants to show up for the home games and possibly make it to the playoffs.
Yep. Exactly.
Come on, man.
The only bad thing we were talking about the Nets. The only bad thing about the Nets is Ben Simmons. Get him to Philadelphia. Trade it. The guy doesn't play.
He may as well go to Philadelphia. Because
they're gonna play it back to back.
I don't know. We could go off like every year we go off on the same thing about like the load management and shit like that. But there's load management and then there's Joel Embiid, dude. Just because I just can't with these guys anymore. And like you said, it really doesn't start till like January. Like I'm checking in on the Celtics. They're kicking ass. Tatum's playing pretty good. You see they booed Kerr last night.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, yep.
Do you think Tatum cares? I don't know. You got a gold medal, right?
I don't think he cares. I don't think these guys care when they get booed and stuff like that. So, but he got the gold medal. And you know what though, Rich? He didn't get hurt. Why. He didn't get hurt. Imagine if he got hurt.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, like, the reason why he got booed is because I don't know, because I guess he didn't play it. He's got a gold medal. He was good enough to be there. They just didn't put him in. I don't know. Whatever. I think it was stupid that they booed Steve Kerr because Steve Kerr just did what he did. But I guess maybe because they thought that maybe it was personal.
It's like Marcus Stroman being on the Yankees playoff roster. He didn't pitch one game.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. All right, dude.
Okay.
All right. So, good show. And congratulations to Mr. Trump for winning the presidency.
No politics on my side.
All right. I just hope he changes.
I do want to say is the ratings for the election. I know you and I spoke before this, but the ratings for the election were lowest since 1960, I believe. And I think I can contribute that to social media. People going to sleep early, looking on Twitter in the morning, seeing everything they need. I think I'll give an analogy for sports. When my team plays at 10:30, what do? I watch maybe 10 minutes of the game, and I wake up the next morning. I watch a condensed version of it. That's all. I mean, what's going to happen? So, but
and also
over.
With the election, also, I found something very interesting. Did you know that you can bet on the election?
Yeah, I heard that. It wasn't on FanDuel or DraftKings. It was on some investment site, right, or something like that.
Robinhood and I think it's Kashi something, whatever.
Oh, wow.
But they said $100 million was bet on the presidential election this year.
Sheesh.
Now, Eric, the government controls that money, obviously. That leaves the doors wide open, dude, for fuckery, tomfoolery. I don't know. I know you don't want to talk about politics, but when I read that, I'm like, all right, maybe back in the day, but wait a second. You can bet, and like, how long before it gets corrupted because of money that way? I don't know. Just a thought out there.
Too bad Pete Rose passed away. We could have asked him.
Exactly. Well, Baltimore just scored. It looks like it's 7-6. Lamar Jackson threw a touchdown pass to number 15. I forgot who that guy is, but yeah, it's 7-7 now. So
oh, nice. There you go. Good. We got a game. We got a game.
All right, my friend. All right,
okay, I'm gonna go clean my living room behind me. It looks pretty spiffy, but I'll go clean it now. I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, you need to polish the furniture. So
you want a chestnut? I got some chestnuts over here. See that over my shoulder?
Roasted by an open fire. All right, brother.
Yep. Okay, my friend.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Great show, and yeah, we'll speak soon.
Yes, a lot more football coming up. I'm going to do some more basketball in the future show. So
I'm sure I'll talk about Juan Soto too.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Murph. Take care, buddy.
Later, E.
Okay. Bye-bye.